Maybe the reason what you want hasn't arrived isn't because you're doing manifestation wrong. Maybe you're not lacking belief, discipline, vision boards, affirmations, or some secret spiritual ingredient everybody else seems to know. Maybe your mind is simply too awake, too alert, too busy checking the door every 5 minutes to see whether your desire has arrived yet. You plant the seed, dig it back up, stare at it, question whether it's growing, bury it again, then wonder why nothing seems to take root. And somewhere beneath all that effort, you can probably feel the contradiction. You're saying, "I trust," while another part of you keeps whispering, "But where is it?" Most people spend almost every waking hour in a state of mental noise, thinking, comparing, remembering, predicting, scrolling, reacting. One thought barely finishes before another one grabs the microphone. Even when the body is sitting still, the mind is running laps. You might call it overthinking. Psychology might describe parts of it as heightened cognitive activity or stress. Older traditions simply called it restlessness. Whatever name you give it, you know the feeling. Your attention is sitting at the surface of the water while something much deeper inside you is waiting for the waves to settle. And that's where this conversation begins. Not with forcing yourself to believe harder, not with pretending everything is perfect when it clearly isn't. Something subtler has to happen first. Your conscious mind, the part that analyzes, questions, measures, argues, and wants proof, has to loosen its grip long enough for a deeper instruction to land. Because a seed doesn't need someone shouting at it from above the soil. It needs darkness, stillness, space. And strangely enough, your desires may need something very similar. Your waking mind is useful, incredibly useful. You need it to plan your day, solve problems, avoid walking into traffic, answer messages, make decisions, remember appointments. But a tool can become a trap when you never put it down. Imagine carrying a flashlight during a bright afternoon and becoming so obsessed with controlling where the beam lands that you forget there's sunlight everywhere. Your analytical mind works a little like that. It narrows attention. It searches for evidence. And when you're trying to create something you don't currently have, guess what evidence it keeps finding? Evidence that you don't have it yet. You say you want abundance, then check your bank account with fear. You say love is coming, then replay every rejection from the past. You picture a new opportunity, then immediately start listing 10 reasons it probably won't happen. None of this means you're weak or negative. Your conscious mind is doing exactly what it learned to do, protect you by comparing the unknown with what has already happened. Trouble begins when you ask that same protective mind to lead you somewhere it has never been. It keeps turning around toward familiar territory because familiar feels safer than possible. Think of someone standing on the edge of a swimming pool, determined to float. They've read every instruction. Chin up, breathe slowly, relax the shoulders, trust the water. Then they enter the pool and tense every muscle trying to make floating happen. Legs stiff, neck tight, hands fighting the water. More effort creates the exact thing they're afraid of: sinking. Floating begins when the struggle decreases. Manifestation, at least in the inner sense described here, follows a similar paradox. You don't always move closer by adding more mental force. Sometimes you move closer by reducing interference. People often call the noisy waking mode beta, and the calmer inward mode alpha. You don't need to turn those labels into mystical commandments. The important part is the experience underneath them. There's a difference between a mind arguing with itself and a mind that has become quiet enough to receive an idea without immediately tearing it apart. You've probably felt that quieter state before, right before falling asleep, after waking naturally, during meditation, while watching rain, maybe even during a long drive when your thoughts suddenly soften. And once you recognize that doorway, a much bigger question appears. What if your intentions work differently when they're planted there? A farmer wouldn't scatter precious seeds across concrete and then blame the seeds. First comes the soil. Your inner world deserves the same respect. Before repeating anything, before visualizing the life you want, before asking yourself to believe something new, soften the ground. Find a place where you can be undisturbed for a few minutes. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Take one slow breath in, hold it gently, then release it without forcing anything. Again, and once more. Don't chase relaxation. Let your body remember how to do something it already knows. Bring your awareness to the muscles around your eyes. Strange place to begin maybe, but notice how much tension hides there. Let your eyelids become heavier. Unclench your jaw. Drop your shoulders a little. Feel that release travel downward through your arms, chest, stomach, hips, legs. No grand spiritual performance is required. You're simply giving the nervous system permission to stop guarding the gates for a moment. A mind that has spent all day standing watch begins to realize quietly, nothing is attacking me right now. And from there the volume starts turning down. Now picture 10 steps descending somewhere peaceful. No need to make the image perfect. Maybe the staircase is carved from stone. Maybe it's wood. Maybe you barely see anything and simply sense yourself moving downward. Count from 10 to 1 slowly. With every number, imagine leaving another layer of noise behind. 10. The unfinished conversations. 9. Tomorrow's problems. 8. What somebody thinks of you. 7. What hasn't happened yet. Keep going until you reach 1. At the bottom, imagine a door. Not because some magical door exists inside your skull, but because the mind understands symbols beautifully. A doorway says, you're leaving one mode of being and entering another. Open it. On the other side, imagine stillness. Not emptiness, but the kind of quiet that feels alive. Some traditions would call such depth a meditative state. Others might call it subconscious receptivity. You can simply think of it as a deeper level of awareness, a place where the usual mental noise begins to loosen its grip. Labels matter less than the shift itself. Your goal isn't unconsciousness. You're not trying to become blank or numb. You're becoming less argumentative inside. Less awake in the restless sense, more awake in the deeper sense. And once the inner commentary becomes softer, you finally have somewhere fertile to place the message you've been trying to shout into yourself all along. Once you're settled, choose what matters. Not 20 desires fighting for attention. One feeling, one direction. Maybe you want financial freedom. Maybe you're asking for love, health, peace, meaningful work, a new chapter you can't quite explain yet. See a simple scene that implies it's already unfolding. Don't watch yourself desperately chasing it. See yourself inside the reality. Notice your face, your breathing, the small details people usually skip. What would your shoulders feel like if you weren't carrying that old worry anymore? How would you walk into the room? What kind of ordinary Tuesday would you have once this desire stopped being a fantasy and became part of your life? Then give that inner state a sentence. Keep it simple. Everything I desire is already finding its way to me. I am open to receive with gratitude and trust. Repeat it 6 times, not 50, not until you're exhausted and the words turn into wallpaper. 6 deliberate repetitions. Let each one sink a little deeper than the last. First, you may simply hear the sentence. Second, you begin to picture it. Third, something emotional starts moving. Fourth, resistance may show up. Let it pass. Fifth, the words begin to feel quieter, almost more natural. And on the 6th, stop trying to convince yourself. Just rest inside the feeling for a moment, as though the message has already landed. Here's the part people often miss. The sentence isn't supposed to wrestle reality into submission. Repetition works best when it becomes a cue for attention, emotion, and behavior, not when it becomes a desperate bargain with the universe. So after the 6th repetition, add gratitude. Quietly say, "Thank you for the abundance that is already mine." Let gratitude mean more than pretending you possess something you don't. Feel grateful for the capacity to change, for the possibility you can't yet see, for the part of you willing to become available to something new. Gratitude moves your posture from clenched to open. And an open person notices things a clenched person walks straight past. Then comes the hardest part. Leave it alone. Don't rush out and announce your intention to everybody. Don't ask 10 people whether they think it'll work. Don't inspect every hour for evidence. There's wisdom in keeping certain seeds underground while they're forming roots. Silence protects an intention from unnecessary argument, including your own. Go live your day. Answer the email. Make the call. Take the walk. Apply for the opportunity. Notice who appears, what idea arrives, where your attention naturally goes. Your subconscious doesn't need to levitate objects across the room to change your life. Sometimes its power is quieter. It changes what you notice, what you expect, what you tolerate, what you attempt, and which doors you finally recognize as doors.